Hello students, welcome to class 12 biology. Today we will continue with the 10th lesson in biozoology part 4. So far we have learnt about abiotic factors, biomes and how animals adapt themselves to the particular environmental condition for sustenance of life. So far we have learnt. So once the animal adapt themselves to live in an environment, they increase in their population. So today we will learn about increase in the population and the terms under population and population attributes. We will learn about definition for population and population attributes. All these terms we will learn in detail, and then population age distribution. To explain that age distribution, we will learn about the growth models and growth curves and population regulation and interaction. Okay, so first we will start with the definition. It is any group of organisms of the same species, okay, interbreed among themselves and occupy particular space. Here you should know any group of organisms of the same species occupying a particular place. That is what is called as the biotic community, and turn it forms the population. It has a defined structure function that can be described with the reference to time. So in particular period of time, so many organisms were living in an area. That is what is given as definite structure and function, which can be described with reference to time. Next we are going to learn about the properties of population. So properties of population may be density, natality, birth rate, mortality, death rate, age distribution, biotic potential, dispersion, R and K selection growth forms. That is what we are going to learn now. Population density, total number of species within a particular habitat. Okay, so it refers to its size in relation to unit of space and time. So size with reference to space and time. Okay, size of population can be measured in several ways, that is abundance, the absolute number of population, numerical density, number of individuals per unit area. Okay, so that is what is called as population density. Next we will learn about biomass density, that is biomass per unit area, that is living organisms, that is what biomass include. Then population density of a species can be expressed with reference to actual area of the habitat. Then when size of the individual population is relatively uniform, then the density is expressed in terms of number of individual. So uniform population can be expressed in terms of number of individuals. Next, natality, that is birth rate, is equivalent to birth rate. Okay, expression of the production of new individuals in a population by birth. So birth can occur by hatching or germination of the seed, or by fission. Two individuals are produced. So then the population is getting increased. That is what is called as natality. So then the natality rate may be expressed in crude birth rate, number of organisms born per female per unit time. Okay, so number of birth per unit time by average population, that gives a definition for birth rate. Next we have mortality, that is death rate. Most population and decline factor is opposite to natality. So it is a loss of individual per unit time. Okay, so that is what is called as rate, death rate. Rate always with reference to time. Then mortality expressed as a specific mortality, that is number of members of an original population dies after lapse in the given time. Then the death rate can be defined or given by number of death per unit time to the average population. Rate of mortality is determined by density. Mortality is high at high density because of the hazards of overcrowding. So this is important point. Why mortality is very high in the density high area? Okay, so it is because of overcrowding, increased predation and spread of disease. Next we will learn about factors influencing mortality. So the mortality can occur due to the disease or by destruction of the nest by the external factors, and the eggs and the young by storms. So eggs and young by storm means the storm may kill the young one or the eggs. Wind may not support any pollination, or it may cause damages to the home, that is nest. Floods can wash off all the living homes for the animals. Then predators, as you know, predators will feed on the organism, so automatically population level comes down. Accidents, as accidents can be because of the fire accident or accidental earthquakes, so these things can affect the population by increasing death. And desertion by parents, sometimes the parental organism may also kill the young one, maybe due to its physiological reason. So next we have the population dispersion, that is how they are dispersed, how they are spread, okay, spread out in all direction. Okay, this is observed by migration of the individual in and out of the population area. Next we will have about migration. As you know, it is a temporary movement of the mass of population to one place, and example is given. So in this example you can note down some of the fishes migrate from sea to fresh water. Example, salmon, in order to lay eggs. Okay, it is most important example. Then some fishes migrate from fresh water to sea. So okay, in order to reproduce, that is eel is example. Okay, so next we will have about the immigration. Under natural conditions, immigration occurs due to overcrowding. So immigration occurs due to overcrowding and adaptive behavior that regulates the population in a particular site. It also prevents overexploitation of the habitat. All organisms live in a particular place, they will just spoil their area. Instead, they can move and live in another area. That is what is called as succession. Do you remember? Succession, that is moving to another place, and they just make themselves adapted to the environment and they live there. That is what is called as succession. Further, it leads to occupation of new area. Okay, and then immigration is triggered by weather and other abiotic factors. Next we have immigration, so leads to rise in population level. Immigration, it is coming in, immigration, going out, it is emigration. Okay, so here immigration leads to rise in population levels, and population is increased beyond the carrying capacity. It results in increased mortality among the immigrants, decreased reproductive capacity of the individual. Immigration is triggered by weather and other abiotic and biotic factors. Okay, so next we will have about population age distribution. So the proportion of the age groups, pre-reproductive, reproductive and post-reproductive. Okay, this determines the reproductive status of the population. So definitive character, rapidly growing population will have larger proportion of young individual. Okay, stable population will have even distribution of various age and class. Declining population tend to have large proportion of older individual. You can see here increase in population. So number of individuals in the pre-reproductive age is very high. Stable population, you can notice it is more or less equal. Here it is very high and it is more or less equal here. So the decreasing population will have less in young population and older post-reproductive will be more. So that shows the decrease in decreasing population. Next we have growth model curves. It is important. Okay, so growth model curves are important headings you should learn. Population shows characteristic growth pattern. that is described with the help of J-shaped curve and S-shaped growth curves. We will learn the J-shaped curve. So this is what is the curve. So biotic potential, environmental resistance, and then the capacity, or that is carrying capacity of the organism. Population increases rapidly in an exponential fashion, then stops abruptly. Suddenly it stops. Okay, due to various factors. That is what I told you earlier. This exhibits J-shaped growth curves. Example, insects show explosive increase in number during rainy season. Suddenly, if you see many number of insects come in during rainy season, suddenly it will not be there at all. Yes, we might have seen some of the insects. For example, dragonfly also we will see in our area during rainy season, then it is disappearing. So increase in population occurs during the season, favorable season. That is what is called as J-shaped curve. Next we have S-shaped curve or sigmoid curve. So in this, population increase slowly at first, then rapidly, and it slows down gradually. Okay, it is a normal growth pattern. The growth is represented by S-shaped growth curve. So it occurs in small mammals. There may be the rodents. Okay, so next we have population regulation. Okay, so population regulation, environment reaches its carrying capacity, population numbers remain static is stagnant, and sometimes it is fluctuate. So density depends on the extrinsic factor. It includes availability of space, shelter, weather, food. Density dependent intrinsic factor can be competition for food, predation, the organism is getting feeded upon, emigration, moving out, immigration, coming in, and diseases. These are all the intrinsic factor. They may affect the population rate. Okay, so then population interaction, how do they interact with one another? Okay, so the interaction starts with food, shelter, and mating. So interaction may be for intraspecific and interspecific among organism. So intraspecific, it is the members of the same within the members of the same species. Okay, so then we have this intraspecific population interaction observed for all livelihood processes, feeding, territoriality, that is border, breeding and protection. Interspecific, that is neutral, different species live together but they don't affect each other. Positive interaction can be symbiotic relationship, and it can be mutualism and commensalism, and negative interaction can be competition, predation and parasitism. All these things we have learned earlier, mutualism, commensalism. Okay, please recollect competition, predation and parasitism. So commensalism, mutualism, number of species involved. Okay, so the number of species involved and what is the nature of it. A powerful animal or large organism inhibits the growth of the other lower organisms. Okay, cat can reduce the population of rat. Mutualism, so crocodile and bird, interaction favorable to both and it is obligatory. They need the help of others. Okay, commensalism, population 1, the commensalism benefits where the other is affected. Then next one, competition. Plus sign indicates advantages, minus sign indicates disadvantages, 0 indicates no response, it is not affecting or it is not giving any benefit. Parasitism, 2 organisms are involved, one is benefited, other one is not benefited. Predation, one is benefited, other is not benefited. Okay, so next we will have about the conclusion. So far we have learned about what is population, what are the attributes of population, and growth curves, J-shaped and S-shaped curve, population regulation and interaction. This is also very simple and easy topic. Okay, please, with this video 10th lesson biozoology is completed. Thank you, students.